Justice has been done.
Supreme Court sacks Bayelsa governor-elect.
This judgment, obviously, like the fruits of justice.
Reactions trail Supreme Court's judgment on Bayelsa governorship.
Equipping the police training institutions is supposed to be one vital aspect of getting our security arrangements right.
Senate passes bill seeking the establishment of community policing for second reading.
From the evaluation reports we are getting, the reserve that has been discovered in the northeast is about 1 billion barrels.
About 1 billion barrels of crude oil deposits discovered in the northeast. Hello, a lovely evening to you and welcome to NTN Network News. I'm Joseph Johnson, live in Abuja. Of course, reading with me tonight is Jennifer Igwe in Lagos, and Jos, of course, will be joining us much later. The Supreme Court has ordered the withdrawal of the certificate of return issued to All Progressives Congress candidate David Leon, who polled the highest votes cast in the governorship election in Bayelsa State. The five-man panel of justices led by Justice Mary Odili gave the judgment in an appeal brought before it by the People's Democratic Party. Delatumbi reports.
Appeal arose from a pre-election matter where the PDP challenged the running mate of the APC candidate David Leon for supplying false information to the Independent National Electoral Commission in his Form CF001 containing his biodata. The issue bordered on the differences in the certificate of Leon's running mate, which had about 10 different names. Though the APC candidate's running mate in the election in an affidavit affirmed that the certificates bearing different names belonged to him, the trial court nullified his candidature. The APC appealed this verdict at the Court of Appeal, where the appellate court nullified the verdict of the trial court. This necessitated the PDP to approach the Supreme Court, where counsel to the appellant pleaded with the court to uphold its appeal, while counsel to the respondents urged the court to dismiss the appeal. In the judgment delivered by Justice Ejembi Eko, the five-man panel of justices led by Justice Mary Odili agreed with the judgment of the trial court and set aside the verdict of the lower court. The court pointed out that mere affidavit on the issue of names in a certificate was not enough until it is uttered by the issuing authority. Relying on Section 31, subsection 6 of the Electoral Act, the Apex Court affirmed that since the election of the governor-elect and his deputy is a joint ticket, it voided the joint ticket of both candidates. In a consequential order, the Supreme Court ordered INEC to withdraw the certificate of return issued to David Leon of the APC and issue a certificate of return to the candidate and the party that scored the second highest votes in the governorship election conducted in Bayelsa State on November 16, 2019.
Justice has been done. We thank Almighty God that we have justice that the world is proud of.
With this verdict, the candidate that polled the second highest votes cast in the election and meets the constitutional provisions is expected to be sworn in on Friday, February 14, 2020. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
I'm now being joined by Festus Okoye, INEC National Commissioner, Information and Voter Education. Nice to have you on NTN Network News.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, so what's INEC's interpretation of the Supreme Court's judgment on the governor-elect in Bayelsa?
Well, you know, the Supreme Court is the final court of the land, and anytime the Supreme Court gives any judgment, the Commission is bound to give effect to such a judgment. Now, as at 7 p.m. when I left the office, we have not been served with a copy of the said judgment. And the Commission does not just rely on the rendition of his own lawyers or on the recollections of people to give effect to the Supreme Court. So what we are doing is that we are waiting for a copy of the court order to never understand why what specifically what the Supreme Court intends us to do. So we are bound to give effect to the judgment of the Supreme Court, but we are waiting for the order so that we can look at the exact wordings of the Supreme Court and give effect to the Supreme Court judgment.
Okay, so the term for the present governor terminates tomorrow. So with this latest development of INEC not being able to give certificate of return to the new, wouldn't that create a lacuna of some sort, or a vacuum, if you like?
No, I think that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has taken care of a couple of these issues, and it is not for the Commission to begin to make a determination on whether there will be a lacuna or not. Our own duty and our own responsibility is to look at the context in which the Supreme Court gave its judgment, and look at the exact wordings of the judgment of the Supreme Court, and give effect to the orders of the Supreme Court. What the Supreme Court intends us to do is to, one, make a determination on who scored the majority of lawful votes, and also to look at the issue of spread. But we need to see the judgment of the Supreme Court itself, so that we don't rely on the recollections of people in giving effect to the judgment of the Supreme Court.
Okay, so finally, what's next for INEC?
What next for INEC is that we are waiting and we are ready to give effect to the judgment of the Supreme Court. The moment we are served with the court order, the Commission will move expeditiously and give effect to the judgment of the Supreme Court. That is our responsibility, and that is what we are bound to do.
Okay, thank you very much, Festus Okoye, INEC National Commissioner, Information and Voter Education. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Now, let's take you to Bayelsa State now, because there is uneasy calm in Yenagoa, the state capital, following the Supreme Court's judgment which nullified the election of the All Progressives Party governorship candidates in the state. While members of the APC appear to be in a state of shock, members and supporters of the People's Democratic Party are in a celebratory mood. Fred Oweifie is standing by with a report.
In a unanimous judgment delivered by the Apex Court on the November 16th governorship election held in Bayelsa State in favor of PDP, Bayelsans in their numbers trooped into the state government house and the streets of Yenagoa to celebrate the victory. In their various reactions, the party supporters described defeat at the Supreme Court as the will of God.
This is God at work, and by His special grace, we are celebrating unto His glory.
We quickly realigned ourselves and realized our mistakes and cried to our Almighty God, and today He has answered us.
Everybody should come together as Bayelsans to celebrate and build a better Bayelsa.
Governor Seriake Dixon, while reacting to the Supreme Court judgment, urged Bayelsans to eschew violence as they celebrate.
So, we kept on, and now they come and turn the table. To the glory of God.
With the judgment delivered, the governorship candidate of PDP, Senator Doye Diri, with the highest lawful votes and with a wide geographical spread, will eventually become the next governor of Bayelsa State. Meanwhile, the APC in Bayelsa State, represented by federal lawmaker Priye Oseke, has condemned the outcome of the Supreme Court judgments.
We are calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission not to issue certificate of return to the candidate of the PDP because the candidate of the PDP was unable to score the required 25% in the two-thirds of the local government.
Fred Oweifie, NTA News.
Let's quickly bring in my colleague now, Mayor Ogidi, as he joins us live in Yenagoa. Mayor, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Joseph.
An atmosphere like at the moment?
Yes, Bayelsa is peaceful. There is no cause for alarm, though power shifted from one party to another, so the celebrations. But it went to demonstrate the fact that Bayelsans, the interest of Bayelsa is more than that of a political party. That was what they demonstrated. There is no violence, there is no peace, threat to public peace. But expectedly, you see people in clusters, and the subject matter for discussion is quite predictable. It's about the Supreme Court verdict. So Bayelsa is very peaceful. This is after 9, and I'm right here at the heart of Bayelsa, and vehicles are moving, people are walking, pedestrians all over, and no cause for alarm. It's very okay. It's very calm, very calm.
Very well. So how prepared are the Bayelsans for the inauguration?
Bayelsans are currently living at the mercy of INEC because INEC has not given a certificate of return. So in terms of preparations for tomorrow, it's still a pregnancy, Joseph. So that is just the situation for now.
All right, just before I let you go, what are some of the special features we should expect tomorrow?
That is a bit related to the earlier question because in terms of agenda for tomorrow, Bayelsa, the real Bayelsa can't tell you anything for now because the ball is in the court of INEC. It's INEC that will determine, because there are, as you earlier saw in the report by the telephone conversation with the National Commissioner of INEC, Festus Okoye, there are some constitutional issues surrounding this verdict in terms of geographical spread, because David Lyon scored 352,552 votes, while that of the PDP Doyedri scored 143,170 votes. And Doyedri won in 2 local government areas, that is Sagbama and Kolokomo Pokma, his own local government. And while that of David Lyon won in 6 out of the 8. Southern Ejogbea, Nibe, Brass, Yenegua, and Ekiremo. So the issue of geographical spread, INEC has to go and do some record checking in their file. That is when the issue of an inauguration for tomorrow will be a bit clear. But we still have some space in the Constitution, because the Constitution 197 requires that you must achieve some level of geographical spread, 25% in 2/3 of the 8 local governments. And if probably things don't work out the way some are anticipating, the 90 days window is there for the Speaker to be in charge in the governance process, pending when the issues will be resolved.
All right. Okay, Mayor Ogede, we leave it there for now. Thank you very much indeed for giving us that update. So let's still talk about elections, because National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshomole, says Supreme Court judgment on Bayelsa State lacks fruit of justice, and that no one apart from the APC candidate David Leon is qualified to take oath of office tomorrow in Bayelsa State. He said the party's legal team has been mandated to explore all legal means to review the Supreme Court's judgment.
As a political party, we respect the rule of law, and we respect and we have confidence in the judiciary. However, this judgment obviously like the fruits of justice. For me and for our party, at the heart of election is the issue of who did the people actually voted for. Is there a case of impersonation on the part of the deputy governor-elect? Is there any other person who has turned up to claim that name, as to raise doubt as to whether or not this was the deputy governor-elect duly elected along with the governor during the Bayelsa governorship election? Now, where justice and democracy is sacrificed on the altar of technicalities, this for me constitutes a grave danger to our democracy. If, as the Supreme Court has ruled, David Leon cannot now be sworn in as governor, and the person who has the highest number of votes and is spread be sworn in, because as far as we know, the next candidate, because these fights are before courts, who happen to be a PDP candidate, does not have 1/4 of the total lawful vote cast. In that 1/4 of the votes of the vote cast in that election, in 2/3 of the 8 local governments in Bayelsa State.
EPC's national chairman, Adams Oshomalade. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party says it receives the judgment of the Supreme Court restoring its mandate in the Bayelsa state governorship election, but appeals to the Apex Court to review the Imo state governorship election judgment. A statement from the party's national publicity secretary congratulates the people of Bayelsa state, the governor-elect Senator Doyediri, and the deputy governor-elect Lawrence Erujakbo, as their mandate has been restored. An evidence-based document of election results that would serve as a foundation for a comprehensive electoral database for the country is underway. To this end, a workshop on the compendium of critical issues and analyses of results of general elections in Nigeria has been organized by the Electoral Institute in collaboration with National Institute of Social and Economic Research. Timothy Yusuf reports.
6 general elections have been held since Nigeria returned to democratic governance in 1999. One thing that stands out within this period is the increasing use of technology-based and data-driven process by the election management body. And that is why this workshop is analyzing the compilation of statistical election results of the 2015 general polls.
The purpose of this compendium is to give insight and then to throw out lessons that can be learned in the conduct of elections.
Actually, if you go on our website now, you can find results of elections in a more organized manner. But they are the raw things.
It is also a mandate of the Institute to document results of electoral research and disseminate them to critical stakeholders with view to influencing policy decisions.
A final draft compendium of 2015 general elections results is expected to be submitted to INEC for further review and approval after this workshop. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
Let's just take some messages. We have plenty more for you when we return, so stay with us. Hello, you're still watching NTA Network News with me, Joseph Johnson. Let's now turn our attention to the legislature, where the Senate has passed the bill that seeks to establish community policing through second reading. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports that the bill also provides 4 or 5 year single term for the Inspector General of Police.
The Senate returned to legislative business after 2 days of mourning. The bill for the repeal of the Police Act and enactment of the Nigeria Police Bill was the only bill considered for second reading. The bill, among other issues, seeks to provide community policing, conditions for the removal of the Inspector General of Police, and to check gender discrimination in the force. Chairman, Senate Committee on Police Affairs, Senator Haliru Jika, is the sponsor.
Is to provide for a more efficient and effective police service that is based on the principle of accountability and transparency.
Whatever the military can do, the police force can equally do. What is lacking in the police force is because certain things are not done. This bill must work. And if it works, I am absolutely sure, Mr. President, this country will benefit from the operation of this structure.
Equipping the police training institutions is supposed to be one vital aspect of getting our security arrangements right.
Senate called on military authorities to immediately carry out an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the killing of 30 persons in our new community in Borno State and to establish a base in the area to prevent further attacks as moved by Senator Kashim Shettima.
Urge the federal government to begin a process of rehabilitating the affected communities.
Senator Sadiq Umar drew the attention of the Senate to the urgent need to mainstream Nigeria's national park services into the nation's security architecture.
And involve other security agencies in park protection and surveillance.
A bill that will provide relief to polytechnic graduates has been introduced in the Senate. The bill seeks to eliminate dichotomy between holders of higher national diploma and first degree. The bill, when eventually passed, will put both graduates at par. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nko, NTA News.
And President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, has commended the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, for its balanced reportage, which has helped steer the nation away from grievous circumstances at different times. The NTA got the commendation during an interactive session with selected ministries, departments and agencies hosted by the leadership of the Senate in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Vivian Idekbefo reports.
The President of the Senate emphasized that the quarterly meeting with MDAs is part of efforts to understand the challenges mitigating against their optimal performance, revenue generation and remittance as they strive to meet their targets. For the NTA, it was one of those moments to stand tall as the Red Chamber took particular cognizance of the vital role the media house plays in keeping the country together, especially with the surge in fake news.
For us in the NTA, briefly, these challenges can be classified as challenges, arising from the original mandate, setting up the NTA as a public broadcaster. The other leg of the challenge relates to the partial commercialization of the NTA in 1990. It was partially commercialized, but before then there were some things that had to be put in place before the partial commercialization took off. The partial commercialization took off without those things necessary for its success to be put in place. This is one of the challenges. And again, one other thing that stands in the way of NTA making money is the attitude of Nigerians to NTA. NTA is a public broadcaster. MDAs, every MDA wants everything from NTA free of charge. Your Excellency, the Senate President, including the National Assembly.
Of course, because we are public, this thing, there is a limit to which you can go full blast. And we need to have public TV station like yours. You can imagine if there is no NTA. Some of the TV stations report terrible things.
Other agencies took turns to share their experiences and observations in revenue generation. The interactive session is targeted at finding a lasting solution to recurring budget deficit by the federal government, despite having more than 300 revenue-generating MDAs. From the National Assembly, Vivian Idekbefo, NTA News.
A thumb up there for the NTA. The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to review the privatization of the power sector as the performance of distribution companies has fallen short of expectation. National Assembly correspondent Lamia Lee reports that House members, while debating the matter, expressed disappointment that despite federal government's effort on power generation, the distribution companies have shown the lack of capacity to deliver on transmission.
The matter, which elicited comments from lawmakers across board, was put forth by Representative Nolim Naji.
When we are talking about small and medium-scale enterprises, it's only power generation that can solve it. The government of Buhari should be praised for generation of power. This government have generated power to the extent that the DISCO are refusing to even take over this power to distribute. If there is power in this country, some people are making money. If there is no power, some people are making money. In between, that's where Nigerians found themselves.
They called for a declaration of a state of emergency on the power sector. Plenary also adopted a motion from Representative Bello Yakubu urging the National Universities Commission to make public names of identified fake professors said to be in some Nigerian universities. Other motions adopted are the need to investigate utilization of the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund from Representative Shina Pella, as more than 50% of the fund was released, in addition to millions of dollars received from donor agencies. House members also want the federal government to embark on erosion and flood control projects in parts of Imo State, as moved by Representative Chinedu Emeke, while the call from Representative Armayau Abdul Qadir on government to key Zobe Dam in Katsina State into its agricultural development projects got the support of the House.
Establishment of ultra-modern irrigation canals of the dam and ensure full functionality and utilization of the dam.
Thursday's plenary at the Committee of the Whole witnessed consideration and adoption of a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education Birnin Kudu in Jigawa State.
There's a similar school in Oyo State that has been established since around 1960. That school is inadequate, so that's the need for this bill.
Two bills, a bill reenacting the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria and the bill establishing Federal University Gashua, were passed. The defection of two House members from Imo State, Representative Kingsley Chima and Chigozie Pascal, from Action Alliance to All Progressives Congress (APC), was brought to the notice of the House by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, during plenary. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
A bit on the judiciary now. The publisher of Sahara Reporters, Moyole Shore and Olawale Bakare, have been arraigned before a federal high court in Abuja on an amended 2-count charge bordering on treasonable felony. The two defendants pleaded not guilty to the charge filed by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation.
At the resumed trial, the prosecution counsel, Ali Lukayode, informed the court that the federal government has complied with the court's orders over the payment of the 200,000 naira awarded the defendant as cost. He also said the prosecution is ready to proceed with the trial, but the defense counsel, Abdul Mahmood, objected on the grounds that the prosecution has served them only the summary of the witnesses' statements and insisted on being served with the full statements, even though the prosecution maintained it was a full text that was served. The defense counsel also insisted that since Shore's statement is on video, the transcript is not enough. He said the video will equally be needed to enable them prepare their defense. Justice Ijoma Ojukwu adjourned the case to 11th, 12th, and 13th of March for definite trial.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timi Silva, said about 1 billion barrels of crude oil have been discovered in the northeastern part of Nigeria. Silva made the disclosure at a news conference to end the 2020 Nigeria International Petroleum Summit in Abuja. Lydia Sampson has more.
The minister stated that the figures from the evaluation results shows the northeast emerging as one of the oil-producing states.
The figures we are getting, the jury is not totally out yet, but from the evaluation reports we are getting, the reserve that has been discovered in the northeast is about 1 billion barrels.
Oil and gas is being found in unexpected places across Africa, Nigeria inclusive. According to him, a lot of oil is yet to be found in the country.
So you might have a situation where you can still have a lot of oil in your ground, but the world would have moved away from the oil to another form of energy, and the oil will no longer make sense. So let us, as a country, begin to ensure that we put our heart where our mouth is.
He reiterated the need for more exploration in the country as more oil will be discovered. It should be recalled that concerted efforts by the Buhari administration led to exploration in the northeast. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
The Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, has expressed concern over flight cancellations and diversions which have been occasioned by highly inclement weather. Sirika says authorities at the Muritala Muhammed International Airport in Lagos are in the process of replacing the old Category 2 instrument landing systems with the newly procured Category 3 system for visibility landing on the diversion of incoming international flights to neighboring countries. Sirika wishes to reiterate that the decision are purely those of the airlines, which they don't have control over. He wishes to use this medium to assure the general public that the comfort, safety and security of the flying populace remains the central focus of the administration and that no effort would be spared in ensuring this. The The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has gone into a collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development and the National Youth Service Corps in furtherance of the need to bring more youths on board in its fight against corruption. This will take the form of a youth walk against corruption on the 14th of February across the country. Haman Jabani reports.
The three organizations are meeting officially for the first time under this kind of atmosphere, and it is not a social gathering, but one which is believed will tackle corruption and galvanize the energy and resourcefulness of the youth to prevent corruption in all sectors of the country. While the Ministry of Youth and Social Development and the National Youth Service Corps are known to have access to the targeted population, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has the machinery and expertise that will make the collaboration a perfect one.
One of the best strategies is to mobilize everybody to take ownership of the fight against corruption. It should not be left to the government or the anti-corruption agencies to fight alone.
This move begins with the presence of these organs of government in a major youth walk against corruption on the 14th of February 2020 across the country, to sensitize the public on the fight against corruption and financial crimes, as well as to be crusaders, ambassadors, and advocates. The youth work against corruption will involve women and labor groups, NGOs, and the general public. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Advocacy for community radio as a tool for development as well as fostering peace and unity is the focus of this year's World Radio Day. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday in this report takes a look at the impact and relevance of radio to the societal development.
I got Abuja's very own anti-world.
Information is said to be power, and radio is one of the media of information dissemination. 38-year-old Emmanuel Ogbodo is an interior decorator. He does not miss the news on the top of the hour and follows scheduled programs. He told me it is a motivational tool for his business.
When you're not listening to the radio, you are like a blind man. But when you listen to the radio, we know what is happening.
Depth of penetration of radio gives it an edge over other media, an advantage the United Nations wants operators and governments at all levels to take advantage of.
As we strive to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and tackle the climate crisis, radio has a key role to play as a source of information and inspiration alike.
There should be a total control of both public and private media organizations.
Especially the content. Nathan Williams, an editor and reporter, says his station focuses more on developmental programs.
So we give them the voice so that they speak out and let the government know what they need.
It is the most accessible thing that you can put on. Within seconds, you start listening to what is happening. And
Dr. Liman believes that the Nigerian government must invest more in radio infrastructure to enable it to reach all parts of the country.
Technology has moved so fast that the kind of shortwave transmitters that are being produced now are very different from the ones that we used to have in the 60s. So there is the need to make sure that we procure new ones.
Another advantage of radio is that it is an interactive platform where people can air their views, concerns, and grievances. Happy World Radio Day. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Thank you, Adebola. Indeed, it gives me a nostalgic feeling. President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the elder statesman Alhaji Ahmed Joda, CON, on his 90th birthday, joining friends and family to celebrate the milestone that has clearly defined Nigeria's history, especially in public service. The president commends the former permanent secretary for his services to the nation, starting out early as a journalist and climbing the administrative ladder to serve many Nigerian leaders, public institutions, and most recently heading the 2015 Transition Committee. He affirms that Alhaji Joda's simplicity, diligence, honesty, integrity, and dedication to the well-being of his fatherland stand him out. The President prays Almighty God to grant the administration and boardroom guru good health and strength to keep serving his country and humanity. Let's now join Jennifer in Lagos for some stories. Jennifer.
Thank you, Joseph, and welcome to Lagos. Now, February 13 is a memorable day in Nigeria's diary. The historical date is linked to one of the nation's former heads of state, General Muritala Muhammed. I visited the area where he was assassinated decades ago and reminiscent on his contribution to national unity and development. My findings will interest you. The picture of the young general sits conspicuously on the Nigeria 20 naira note. Notice I used the word young. General Muritala Muhammed became Nigeria's fourth head of state in 1975 at the age of 36. His time as Nigeria's head of state was brief, as he was assassinated on the 13th of February 1976.
That time the incident what happened, I was small. That time I was small.
This car parked at the National Museum in Lagos was the vehicle he was in when a group of soldiers who were members of an abortive coup led by Lieutenant Colonel Buka Suka Dimka opened fire on him and took him out.
Many who walk and drive past this monument at the junction of Old Bank Road, Ikoyi, that has been renamed Muritala Muhammed's Drive, may not know the significance of the structure. Now, the cenotaph was created in 1992 to show the importance of this whole area in Nigeria's history. Right here, 44 years ago, was where General Muritala Muhammed was assassinated.
He even introduced the phrase, fellow Nigerians, to the national lexicon. His low-profile lifestyle could be reason why the only visible sign of protection he had when he was assassinated was a pistol carried by his orderly. How many young Nigerians are aware of this?
If you've ever heard about the late General Muritala Muhammed, raise your hand.
General Muritala Muhammed's portrait on the 20 naira note and the international airport in Lagos named after him are still great reminders of the fourth head of state of Nigeria. We need to preserve history for the younger generation. Now, Senate committee amending laws that will encourage and increase public-private participation in providing critical infrastructure remains topmost on the agenda of the 9th National Assembly. Chairman Senate Committee on Works, Adamu Alero, during an oversight inspection of the federal government road projects with states in the Southwest, I'll take this again, I'm sorry. Now, amending laws that will encourage and increase public-private participation in providing critical and infrastructure remains topmost in the agenda of the 9th National Assembly. Chairman, Senate Committee on Works, Adamu Alero, stated this during an oversight inspection of federal government road projects with states in the Southwest.
For states in the Southwest, especially Lagos, where the ongoing construction of Apapa-Oroshodi Expressway is funded through the tax credit scheme by the federal government and connecting two major ports in the country, have received commendation by the Senate Committee on Works.
And we are very pleased with what you have seen. The progress of work is good. We have no doubt that the contractor, if he maintains the pace, it will be completed and delivered on time. We will promote the participation of the private sector by amending our laws to make it possible for anybody coming in to invest and recover his money.
The committee also visited the 30-kilometer Ikorodu-Shagam Road in Lagos and Ogun states, where they appreciated the contractors for their commitment despite paucity of funds, while promising to tackle challenges.
They would have stopped work long time ago, because there's no way you can have 10 certificates not paid and you continue working. And we commend his resilience.
Ikorodu-Shagam, it's a 30-month contract that started in the year 2018, and I'm sure by 2021 we should be getting to its, for it to be concluded. Apapa Oshodi Oroshoki is 24 months. All things being equal, we should be able to complete Apapa Oshodi at the end of this year, 2020, and work is in progress.
Other roads inspected by the committee is the Section 1 of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway as the oversight visit continues to other roads in the region. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Thank you, Amaka. That report ends our contribution from Lagos. Network News continues with Joseph in Abuja after the break. Stay tuned.
Thank you for staying with us. We are now back in Abuja. To further strengthen efforts in closing the unemployment gap in the country and create a conducive environment for the growth of the real sector, the Industrial Training Fund, ITF, and Nigeria Export Promotion Council have signed a memorandum of understanding to equip trainees with skills necessary for growth of the economy. Chumobi Walter Naji now reports.
Signing of the dotted lines on this document and a warm handshake signals the beginning of a partnership between two government organizations, the Industrial Trading Fund, ITF, and Nigeria Export Promotion Council, saddled with the responsibility of providing a conducive environment for young entrepreneurs to succeed.
One of those areas in terms of objectives that we have is the fact that we are looking at capacity building to determine the specific needs of the SMEs as to how best can we help them by way of collaboration. We have to build the synergy and then feel free to rub our minds together, collaborate and see how best we can render this service to our stakeholders.
The collaboration came from a desire by both organizations to deliver on the mandate of the federal government to boost the capacity of small and medium enterprises in the country. Collaborations like this, they reiterated, will help the output of the organizations. In Abuja, I'm Chimobi Walter Naji, NTA News.
Felicia in Jos has the next set of reports. Felicia?
Joseph, welcome to Jos. In its bid to intimate the public of its activities within the theater of operation, the Operation Safe Haven in Plateau State arrested fleeing kidnapped suspects allegedly involved in series of kidnaps in Riom and Barkin Ladi areas of the state. The Commander, Major General Augustine Agundu, while parading the suspects to newsmen, said that the Operation Safe Haven will not relent in hunting down these criminals whose activities remain a huge challenge to sustained peace in Plateau State. Rinway Silvanus Lord takes it from here.
Operation Safe Haven's consistency in conducting result-oriented operations on identified black spots and hideouts, according to the commander, has led to the arrests of these high-profile criminals and their collaborators. Chief amongst them is a suspected cultist John Ibe, popularly known as Chemical, who has been on OPSH's watch list, and a notorious armed robbery kingpin, Ya'u Mohammed of Toro Village.
One surveillance team acting on a tip-off apprehended a notorious armed robbery kingpin called Ya'u Mohammed at Toro Village in Bauchi State. The suspect was the leader of an armed robbery syndicate that attacked home troops at Kona Fulani in Rion local government area, which led to the death of one of my personnel. Similarly, own troops, in conjunction with special forces acting on credible intelligence, apprehended Mr. Ishaku Pam, a suspected kingpin that specializes in cattle rustling within Barkin Ladi local government area of Plateau State.
Others include gun runners and suspected kidnappers, all of whom have given information that would guide Operation Safe Haven to arrest more suspects. From the headquarters of Operation Safe Haven, Rinwet Silvanus Lot, NTA News.
That's all we can take at the moment. Super Eagles move up in latest FIFA ranking details and more on sports update with Kenem Burkina.